Okay then, we're back with another video, and this one is about third parties in regards to Nintendo's next hardware iteration. I'm seeing a lot of people, well, third parties say they're really excited. Third parties always say they're really excited about new hardware um, from one of the big three. They said it about um, they said it about the PS3, and they supported the shit out of that even when it was selling like shit. Um, they said it about the N64, the the N64, the GameCube, the Wii, the Wii U. They always say this, and every time they drop the ball. Um, so my question to gamers is this: how many times does someone have to basically um, hand you a load of bullshit till you figure out maybe I should stop trusting these motherfuckers? I mean, seriously. How many times do you have to be lied to before you figure out maybe these people shouldn't be trusted? I mean, let's get into the history of third-party support and how they basically have been acting when it comes in regards to Nintendo. I can't believe I have to make another one of these videos, but let's get to it after the cut. Okay then, so um, let's look at the first big Nintendo handheld, the Game Boy. Okay, the Game Boy had really good third-party support, but let's really break that down. A lot of the games that came to the Game Boy were initially NES ports or games that could run on the NES, or derivatives of NES games. Very simple games. It was only until later on in the life cycle of that system did you start to see games that were advanced and different from anything we could ever see on a NES. Okay? Over time, you had some very complicated games on that system. And that was really friggin' awesome. Hardcore RPGs and fighting games that were close to shit that were basically down ports from stuff you'd see on an SNES. But that took a long time to get to that point. So essentially what I'm saying is that why are gamers accepting this? Why are gamers accepting this bullshit repeatedly? So then we had the Game Boy Color, which had a lot of NES ports as well to keep it fair. Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3. Of course, these were actual up ports. There was new content in these games, fixes and the like. Then you had one of my personal favorites, the Game Boy Advance, which had a lot of SNES ports from both third parties and Nintendo. Then you had the DS, which was the first time that third parties actually stretched their legs with a handheld. And what they did was created some pretty decent shit. Some games that took advantage of the hardware. They, in some cases, I'd say 6 out of 10, they would do something that was different and new and you'd never seen it before. But in some cases, it would be some bullshit. Like some pigeonholed motion DS control. And this was even from Nintendo. I mean, they put Mario 64 on the DS and Diddy Kong Racing on the DS, and they used a stylus with it. And those are games that should never have a stylus, in my opinion. But there were third parties that took a chance with the hardware and made the shit look cool. For example, Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword. which is pretty good. It's a pretty good little game. And that used a stylus heavily. It was still pretty damn good. Or Okamiden, which is pretty awesome. So, I mean, you know, there were games that used the stylus that worked from third parties. And then we have the 3DS, which, I mean, didn't have nearly as much third-party support as the DS did, but enough that it was useful. But I mean, a lot of those games on the 3DS, let's keep it real, could be on the DS. They just wouldn't have 3D. Not really, nothing really revolutionary about that. No one's really used it. No one's really used the 3D in that game well enough to really make it, oh wow, this is fucking awesome. Except for Nintendo with some of their first-party games like Luigi's Mansion 2. So we have Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, DS, 3DS. We have 5 handhelds, and really for 3 of them were some of the highest selling handhelds ever. And the thing that we've learned from those is that third parties made a lot of money by just porting shit over. Just quick and easy ports. Down ports or side ports, or you know, the engine was just stripped down to run on the hardware. So third parties had no problem putting games on the handheld because it was cheap. And all they had to do was just do a little bit, and that would make gamers happy, because gamers at that time didn't know any better. But as the hardware got more powerful, they generally stopped giving a shit, except for a few that would take advantage of the hardware, which was cool. So, with that being said, let's move on to the home console after the cut. So, let's talk about the home console market. Now, Nintendo has only been in as a home console market for 5 gens. Okay? 6 sort of, but really 5. If you want to include the Virtual Boy, because that was a home console. So let's talk about that. We've got the first Nintendo home console, which is the Famicom, aka the NES. The Famicom came out in '83. The NES came out, I want to say 2.5, 3 years later, 85, 86. And those were, you know, and look at Nintendo's third-party support. Pretty much they were the only game in town for a while, so they had a lot of third-party support on the NES. And maybe, conversely, that's a lot of third parties built their bones on Nintendo hardware, which was fucking awesome. You know, your Squaresofts, your Enixes, your Tecmos, not your Namcos, but your Hudsons, your Hudson Softs, your Atlas to an extent, your Atlases, your Konamis, built their names on that, on that system. They became some of the most well-known systems we've ever seen because of this. So, third-party developers because of this. Japanese. Now, the Western third parties had been in existence for a while, but they had to get on board. And some good games came from them, you know. Except for JLN, because fuck JLN. Fuck JLN! but aside from that, you know, some good games. Great third-party support. Then we have the SNES. Still pretty good third-party support. It was between the SNES and the PC Engine, aka TurboGrafx 16, and the Sega Genesis. with technically the first 16-bit system was the TurboGrafx 16, even though it wasn't really 16-bit. Then you had the Sega Genesis, and then the SNES. And between the TurboGrafx did all right in Japan, but it didn't really have strong first-party support or strong second-party support. It pretty much sucked all around. And then you had the Sega Genesis, which did pretty well. Sega challenged the king at the top of the mountain and did pretty well for themselves in the short term. Long term, the Sega Genesis was kind of like the downfall of Sega. But that's another podcast. That's another video for another day. So basically, the Sega, between the Sega and Nintendo, the Super Nintendo had great third-party support. You had really good games, multiplats, great multiplats, and if not multiplats, you had a comparative game on both systems. For example, on the SNES, you had Final Fight from Capcom. Sega said, "Ho, we can do just as good, if not better." Streets of Rage, aka Bare Knuckle. From Konami on the SNES, you had Turtles in Time. On the Sega Genesis, you had the Hyperstone Heist. Like, you had good games on both systems that were comparable to another. Great third-party support. But then we got to the 5th gen, and shit started to get wild for Nintendo. You had, the bullshit statement, well, we can't put these games on the system because the cartridges are just, it's impossible. We can't do it. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, if you ever hear someone say that, well, the cartridges were holding back third-party support for the N64, that's bullshit. Plain and simple, it's bullshit. Tell you why. First of all, as someone who has an N64 and a PlayStation, actually I have two 64s, but that's neither here nor there. As someone who has a 64 and a PlayStation, I'm going to tell you a little secret, okay? There are a decent amount of multiplats between the PlayStation and the N64. And shh, don't tell anyone, but most of the multiplats are better on the N64. For example, Gauntlet Legends on the N64 looks way better than Gauntlet Legends on the PlayStation. Gauntlet Legends on the PlayStation looks like shit. You know what the difference is? The PlayStation version has the FMV opening, whereas the N64 version has to be done in engine, so it doesn't look the same. But you get the same idea of what the plot is. But you'll hear people who don't really know what they're talking about say, well, it was the cartridges. Bullshit. It's third parties not wanting to stretch themselves. Which, I mean, look, listen, third parties have been like that for a very long time. They want to do the least amount of work and get paid the maximum amount of money. Fair enough. But don't tell me that it's impossible because of the hardware. It's not strong enough. It's not powerful enough. We don't have enough space. It's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. And I don't like it. So, anyway, then we get to the Wii. Okay? Now, the Wii is a completely different beast. The Wii gets third-party support, but a lot of those games are total shit. I mean, let's keep it real. The Wii had a ton of fucking shovelware. I'm talking games that were like, seriously? Are you fucking kidding me? Now, here's the thing. The third parties that actually took advantage of the hardware had good games. For example, Boom Blocks, which was actually a really fucking good game. And then there was Zack and Wiki, also a really good game. There was Okami, like really the best version of Okami's on the Wii. Resident Evil 4, also really good on the Wii. Some people would say Call of Duty. Um, the motion controls really add a lot to that game. Pikmin with the motion controls on the Wii is actually kind of fun. But that's not a third-party game. But I mean, there was a decent amount of third-party games. One of the best versions of Ghostbusters, the game, is on the Wii. Ironic, isn't it? That little underpowered system. But if you took advantage of the hardware, it was a really good system. But we won't talk about that. We'll just talk shit and talk about how Nintendo didn't reach out to third parties. But let's keep it clear. There were hidden gems on the Wii, but a lot of those games were just half-ass bullshit ports that third parties did the bare minimum and wanted to get paid a lot of money for. So that brings us up to the Wii, the Wii U. Now the Wii U was far more powerful than the PS3 and the Xbox 360. More powerful than both 7th gen systems, and games could be, from what we heard, it was relatively inexpensive to port a game from the 360 to the Wii U. Okay? Very little money needed to be spent. You just had to optimize for the coding. Fair enough. Here's the problem. Okay? A lot of these third parties said, "Oh, I could totally see my game being on this system." And then they promptly said, "Fuck it." Because they didn't want to do any optimization. Because fuck optimization. We just do the bare minimum and port the game over. Now, here's the problem. Okay? They did this. They said this. They actually wanted to in each of these generations, from the N64 to the Wii to the Wii U, third parties would get up on stage and say, "I'm looking forward to working with Nintendo." If not get up on a stage, say, "Yeah, we're looking forward to working with them." And every time you would see mediocre responses. And yet, every single fucking generation with new hardware, we have gamers say, "No, man, hey, really, we should give them a chance." How many times do you have to get slapped in the mouth before you realize maybe we need to be a little bit more skeptical about these bastards? I mean, how many, you know what they say, if you hit a dog enough times, it'll eventually snap at you. And yet gamers don't seem to understand that. Like, yeah, maybe this time will be different. I mean, sure, last time you kicked me in the balls, and the time before that, and the time before that, and the time before that, but this time it'll be different. Seriously? Really? You're just gonna accept getting kicked in the crotch multiple times and never be like, "You know what? Maybe these motherfuckers are lying." Gamers. The conclusion after the cut. Well, we've reached the conclusion, and the conclusion is pretty damn simple. Gamers need to start being skeptical. I'm not saying that you need to be like, F you to everybody, but really don't take any of this stuff at face value. Instead be like, "Look, listen, don't tell me what you're going to do, show me. Show me. And until you show me, I don't believe you. Go fuck yourself." Like, don't tell me, "Oh man, we have some really good ideas about what we're going to do with Nintendo's next hardware." Show me. Oh, you can't show me? Then I don't believe you. Because at this point, nothing third parties have done in regards to supporting Nintendo's hardware has been has been good enough to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like if Nintendo says, hey guys, we're going to come out with a game, we're working on a game, I can believe it, because most of the time, Nintendo very rarely just cancels games. It's very rare that they just say, fuck it, this game's not going to make it, cancel it. They'll delay a game like a motherfucker, but just straight up cancel it? No. So yeah, I can totally trust Nintendo saying, yeah, this game is coming out, this game is being made, this game is being worked on. I trust them on that because they've proven it. If Nintendo says we're making a new Legend of Zelda game and it's gonna have X, Y, and Z in it, okay, I trust them. Why? Because they have yet to make a bad Legend of Zelda game. And I know some smartass in the comment section, what about those Philips CDI Zelda games? Those weren't made by Nintendo. Mainline Nintendo games made by Nintendo or someone Nintendo fucking trusts are good. Okay? There's never a bad one. It's never like, man, that last Zelda. Now, I will never argue that there are ones that people just don't feel strongly about. There's always going to be a Legend of Zelda that people are going to be like, you know what, I don't trust. You know, I don't like Majora's Mask. I don't like Skyward Sword. I don't like... there are people that don't like Ocarina of Time. For me, I've been Ocarina of Time out because I played that game so fucking much that, like, I never want to play Ocarina of Time again. There was a point where I would basically, when I was in junior high school, I would play that game and beat it once every 6 weeks. Like, that's how much I played that fucking game when I was a kid. Every 6 weeks I would play through it. And I eventually got that down to 2 weeks. So, I mean, I played the shit out of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And I never want to play it again. Like, I bought it again on the 3DS, and then I played it and beat it, and I was like, why did I buy this game? I don't even like Ocarina of Time anymore. Because I've, not that it's a bad game, I just have played it so much, and I've 100%ed it that it's like, what's the fucking point? So, Nintendo has earned the benefit of the doubt when it comes to them saying, we're making this game, or we're working on this hardware. Third parties? Not really. What have they done to earn anyone's trust when it comes to, in regards to them supporting a Nintendo home console? Or handheld at this point? What? And don't give me the power argument, because that's bullshit. And I'll tell you why, okay? You know, some people will say, well, GTA 5 couldn't have been on the Wii U. I hate to break this to you, but GTA 5 was on the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One. And if it could be on the Xbox 360 and the PS3, damn sure could have been on the Wii U. And I know what some people are saying. What about Fallout 4? That's only on next-gen systems. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Fallout 4 is using the fucking Skyrim engine. Okay? The Skyrim engine is the same shit they used on the Xbox 360 and the PS3. Okay? And before anyone says, well, that's not true, they're not using the same engine. Yeah, they are. Wanna know how I know? Because you can use the same fucking cheats. The same cheats, the same coding from Skyrim and Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, you can use on Fallout 4. And you want to know what else? It's like literally the controls are the same. They've been using the same fucking engine for the last throughout the 7th and 8th gen for the last 10 years. Okay? The only thing is that you have to scale it to be on different hardware, which they did. Okay, if you have a mid-level laptop, you can play Fallout 4. Will it be as pretty? No. Will the draw distance be as good? No. but you can play it. It boils down to third parties wanting to do the work. If they don't want to do the work, then they're not going to do it. It has nothing to do with, well, Nintendo really needs to do what? Make it easier, so that we can get games that, because here, let's keep it real. Fallout 4 is not that, it has technical issues on the PS4 and the Xbox One. Like, saves were getting deleted, people were falling through the floor. No one brought it up because everyone knows Bethesda games are broken pieces of shit anyway. But keep that in mind. So, you might ask, why is this video being made? Well, I saw a video from Rob of Rule of Two Review. Good video. You should watch it. Even if you don't agree, you should watch it because he makes some pretty good points. I'll leave a link in the description field of that video. But I have to respectfully disagree that, at this point, we should all, as gamers, be skeptical of third-party developers and just be like, you know what? Don't tell me what you're going to do, show me. Like, if you can't show me, then shut the fuck up. And with that being said, that's the end of this video, and peace out. Oh crap, I forgot. I do have something else I have to say. Completely forgot. I'm doing a BS Busters this Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be talking about this issue I just brought up, trusting third parties with in regards to them supporting Nintendo's next hardware. We'll also be talking about what our favorite games, definitive games of certain genres from each generation that we remember, 8-bit, 16-bit, 3rd gen, 4th gen, 5th gen, 6th gen, 7th gen, 8th gen, so that's 5 gens. But here's the caveat: they can't be first-party games or Nintendo games. So we'll just have to wing it. So look forward to that. We'll also be taking questions. I will leave a link in the video, which should be up here right now, of where you can leave your questions or where you want to go if you want to watch the live stream of the podcast. So look forward to that. Peace.